Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:37. O'Connor and Company. It's Larry and Julie Gunlock. Morning, Julie. Good Monday to you.
Good morning.
And coming up at 8:05, we're going to have Sean Spicer. But let's reflect on this announcement yesterday of a trade deal with the European Union.
So I just want to congratulate you. I think it's great that we made a deal today instead of playing games and maybe not making a deal at all. I think it's, I'm going to let you say, but I think it's the biggest deal ever made. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
The biggest deal ever made. That's the president announcing the details alongside the head of the European Union. And it sure seems like a pretty big deal. Let's bring in E.J. Antoni, economist and fellow from the Heritage Foundation Center for the Federal Budget. EJ, what am I missing here? This looks like a blockbuster.
Well, Larry, I would love to answer that question for you. Unfortunately, all I heard was the question. My audio wasn't there for the whole lead-up.
Oh, I'm sorry. We were talking. Well, President Trump was announcing what he describes as the biggest deal ever made, the new trade agreement with the European Union. Thumbnail appears to be the EU agrees to purchase $800 billion in U.S. energy and an additional $750 billion in goods, no tariffs, opening up the markets to American manufacturers. And when asked, by the way, what were the American concessions, the EU president said, well, nothing. We had an imbalance, and now we're trying to balance things out.
Exactly, Larry. And this imbalance is nothing new. What Trump just did, I will tell you, I am even surprised that he was able to do this. What Trump just did was essentially undo 80 years of economic history between the United States and Europe. In other words, he got rid of the entire post-war order where you essentially had all of these different countries in Europe with protectionism in place, where the United States was not allowed to compete there, whether it's cars and trucks, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's agricultural products, and that is now essentially almost all gone. So now Americans, for the first time since before World War II, are really going to have full access to all of these different European markets. It's going to increase exports. It's going to increase the demand for American workers to fulfill those export orders, et cetera. I mean, this really is a tremendous win. And what's so remarkable about it, Larry, is this is not a single country. This is a block of countries. And so you had to essentially get all of those countries to agree to this, which is a big reason why I did not think he was going to get the EU done this early, if at all. I mean, I am shocked he was able to pull this off.
EJ, what are the sectors that will be most impacted by this trade deal on both sides, in Europe and also in the United States?
Well, in terms of Europe, the people who are going to benefit the most from this is actually just the consumer generally, because they're now going to have access to American products that very frequently are much less expensive than their European counterpart and are just as good. We just happen to be better and more efficient at producing certain things, but those products have been blocked from European markets, Julie, because of all of these different, not just tariff, but non-tariff barriers, a lot of rather silly regulatory requirements. So from the European standpoint, the consumer is the big winner here. From the American standpoint, our automotive industry is going to have unprecedented access. It's literally better than we've had for the last 80 years. Wow. Our farmers are also going to do very well under this deal as well, because they now have a huge export market for a lot of their products too. So auto and agriculture are definitely big winners. There are certain other ones as well, but those are definitely the two big ones that come to mind.
Steel and aluminum tariffs are going to stay the same. By the way, it should be noteworthy that J.D. Vance will be speaking in the industrial Midwest today, talking to steel factory workers. I think that there's a connection there. Trump agrees not to raise tariffs on the EU, as he was scheduled to do up to 30% this August 1st. Zero tariffs on all U.S. goods exports. Pharmaceuticals, the Europeans got a pass. It looks like if there is a concession, it's that, in that the pharmaceuticals are not included in this deal at all. Is that sort of what you're seeing?
Well, we're actually seeing that, I think, more broadly, Larry, not just with EU, but if you look at several of the other deals that have been hammered out, like Japan, for example, there are certain things, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's computer chips, that are being left to future negotiations, essentially.
Okay.
In other words, these things are so specific, and there are very specific concerns here, like with national security. We need, as 2020 showed us, we need to be able to produce certain pharmaceuticals at home, or at least with very, very close partners and neighbors. Right. And so when it comes to those very specific concerns, the president is saying, all right, we're going to get a general deal done, and then we're going to get these certain things done at a future date. Because, again, there's details that are specific to those products or to those manufacturing inputs.
The imposition of certain tariffs and the threat of the imposition of larger tariffs obviously got us to reach this point. How do the Morton Friedmans of the world look at this? How are the free traders who have never seen a tariff that they'd ever liked, and people who have been screaming for months, tariffs are taxes, he's raising taxes on all of us. How do they now look back on this and reassess and say, oh, maybe this was actually a smart way to go?
Well, Larry, one of the things that you have to understand with Trump is you should always take him seriously, but you need not always take him literally. And very often and very often what President Trump does is he uses blunt instruments, not necessarily to achieve a goal, but to get a point across. And frequently that's enough in the end to actually achieve his goal. What he did with tariffs was essentially tell the rest of the world, you need us more than we need you. And if you really want to go toe-to-toe in a trade war, you're going to lose more than we will. Now, there are no winners in trade wars, let's be clear, but not everyone has to lose the same. And what everyone has realized is, okay, Mr. President, we don't want to have this fight. It will just destroy our economies. So we'll give in. We'll give you what you want. And in the end, everyone's actually going to be better off, because what Trump is achieving through all of this is not less free trade, but more free trade. And so I think what a lot of the anti-tariff folks and the quote-unquote free market folks miss in all of these discussions, Larry, is the fact that sometimes you need to take one step back to take two steps forward, and that's what the president is achieving here. Through all of these different means that look like they are anti-free trade, the president is actually achieving more free trade than we've had in literally 80 years.
E.J. Antoni, economist at the Heritage Foundation. Also, by the way, I can tell just by the tone in his voice and the energy, he is wearing a chalk stripe three-piece suit with a pocket square. And are you going with the suspenders today?
How did you know?
I know you well, E.J. You probably just, that's what his jammies look like, for crying out loud. Thanks, E.J.